here from Tuesday into Monday. Gonna have a little bit of rain we're watching as we go beginning into the week. 40% chance of rain every single day, Friday through Sunday. Also watching some football here. So if you're thinking about going out to Doak Campbell, maybe keep watching here. You can see that it's going to be a little bit of rain here, 40% chance. But of course, we're watching these really nice conditions across the week. Going to be nice and sunny for most of us here. And he's watching these absolutely incredibly high and low conditions here for us. Absolutely beautiful conditions. So now I'm going to pass things off to Chandler.
Yes, so let's talk about the southeast. Currently, we can see temperatures ranging from the mid-30s in Atlanta. That's really cool. To the low 40s for most of the region. Once you get down into South Florida and Central Florida, we get into those upper 40s to low 50s, as well as mid-60s. And then we look at that dew point. It's very dry almost everywhere. We have a little bit more humid air parcel, down in Miami, but for the most part, everywhere it's pretty dry, and that is associated with that cold front we had. And then we go into the wind speeds. You see the winds are coming out of the northwest at 15 miles per hour. Also, 22 miles per hour here in Tallahassee. You look at like Key West, it's 22 down there as well. It's pretty windy basically everywhere. And when we look at satellite and radar, it's cloudy for most of the area. We've got a little bit of rain up in the South Carolina region, as well as in North Georgia, and some snow in Appalachian Mountains, like Robert said. We're looking at the storm outlook. We really don't have anything for today. That's just associated with the nice, good, high-pressure system that's taken over and has given us less stormy conditions. We've had a few rain events over the last week and a half, so it's a nice little break. And we're looking at the next 48 hours. Well, it's going to be much of the same story. We'll see some clouds up in the Appalachian Mountains as they trap that air movement. And we'll see basically everywhere is going to be nice and sunny. We'll need that sun because it's going to be kind of cool. And when we have cool conditions, we also need that sun radiation so that we can stay a little bit warmer. Unlike today where we had cloudy conditions the whole entire time, and that definitely impacted the wind chill. We definitely had conditions that were really cool. We had that wind as well. So it made things feel way cooler than it actually was air temperature-wise. Now tonight, we can see that those lows will be down into the 30s for most of the region. We get down into South Florida, we'll get up into the 40s and 50s. But for the most part, it'll be pretty cool for the entire southeast region. Looking at tomorrow's highs, we'll get up into the 40s, only 40s, wow, in Mississippi. And then we'll look at 50s for Montgomery, Tallahassee, New Orleans. And then we get down into Miami, and we'll get into the 60s. Now I'm going to pass things off to Robert.
Right, thank you, Chandler. We have these absolutely nice and cool conditions here in the southeast, but in New York, it's a little bit of a different story as you're about to see. They're actually getting pummeled by this nor'easter that's dumping a lot of snow across the entire I-95 corridor. You can really see the center of it right here, dumping all the snow over the New York metro. It's actually a little bit of an overperformer, which we're watching tonight. These snow forecast totals are starting to get revised a little bit upward, and you can see the extent of this system going all the way as far west as Cleveland and Buffalo, going to Boston, which is seeing an incredible amount of snow there as this snow rain line continues to move towards the east. We're watching a lot of this storm and how it's developing. A lot of that goes into these watches and warnings because of how serious this storm is getting. Winter storm warnings for the entire I-95 corridor north of D.C. You can see as we're going from Baltimore all the way to Boston, the entire I-95 corridor is in a winter storm warning. Also going as far west as Williamsport. This is a large storm that is dumping quite a lot of snow. So we're going to be watching this for some travel problems potentially across the northeast corridor. Going to be seeing this next 24 hours. This storm is going to continue dumping a lot of snow as it moves off towards the northeast. Maybe going to see a little of this mix coming in, a little bit of sleet, maybe some freezing rain. Going to need to watch about that for some ice problems. But for you guys in New Jersey and New York, going to see some back-end snow keep upping those snow totals just a little bit more. So we're going to see the system just absolutely be a very powerful snow producer here for most of you guys in the Northeast. Looking at tonight for New York, you can see it's 31 degrees and, well, you guessed it, snow. A lot of snow for you guys tonight. These snowfall totals are going to increase as long as this nor'easter is right across the coast from you guys. So we're going to see these conditions continue to deteriorate into tonight. All of you guys on the roads and trains are going to need to watch these conditions as they continue to get worse. 3-day forecast, you can see it's going to be cold for most of it, not any warm conditions for you guys. The Thursday's a little bit of a bright spot here. You can see these sun starts to move in and these clouds start to move out just a little bit. Tuesday, you can see an 80% chance of snow. This nor'easter is going to continue producing an entire lot of snow for you guys here in New York, Boston, Philadelphia, all of you guys. So watching that 80% chance of snow, our high is just going to be a little bit above freezing, but because of how much snow is on the ground, we're probably not looking at a lot of melting here. And looking at these overnight totals, you can see 26 degrees going to refreeze, and that might be a problem with some icing on the road if we do see any melting. And as you can see, going into Wednesday, it's going to be nice and cloudy and cool for you guys. 34 degrees, low of 28. So again, very cold for you guys here. Very cold conditions for all of you guys here in New York. So now I'm going to pass things off to Jonathan for maybe not as cool conditions here in Tallahassee.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and take, once again, a look over the stadium and go ahead and do a lifestyle forecast for your next week. Starting off with our airport, conditions are very clear in Tallahassee right now, meaning no delays are expected at the airport, and those conditions will continue through the next few days. Looking overall across the entirety of the southeastern airports, such as Tallahassee through Atlanta and Dallas, you're not going to have very many delays. I'm not quite sure how accurate this green little airplane next to New York/JFK is right now, given that they are in the middle of a winter storm/blizzard type condition. So I'm going to go ahead and manually call an audible and change that to red. So pretend like that's red now. That's not supposed to be there. Apparently our traffic cameras are not working tonight. We are going to move on from that graphic anyways. But the big thing in the state of Florida this weekend is Super Bowl Sunday. Down in Tampa, the first time in forever that the home team at the Super Bowl is actually the home team. So the Tampa Bay Bucks made it to the Super Bowl this year. They will be playing on their home turf Sunday. That's supposed to say Sunday. Sunday night, there is a chance of rain in the morning on Sunday, but do not fret. That game still should be had in clear conditions. As we head into the evening, the clouds and rain will move out of the area and hopefully leading to a Bucks win if I'm understanding my roommate correctly. So tomorrow's dog walk forecast should be very cold, but a lot of long-haired pups like the one we have behind us like that cold. So you might want to get out there and walk your dog tomorrow morning. Conditions should be great weather-wise. Temperature-wise, you might want to bring maybe a parka, maybe a heavier jacket if you're from South Florida and you're not used to it. Looking ahead at our weekend, however, honestly not that great conditions here in Tallahassee. Friday, showers throughout the day. High temperature is going to be 68, but the closeness between that high temperature and low temperature is what would make me feel like we're going to have some very humid, muggy nastiness conditions happening throughout the day on Friday. Moving into Saturday, some of the same old, but a little bit cooler. More just speckled bits of rain throughout the day, not necessarily a downpour the entire day, but definitely if you're going out anywhere this weekend, you're going to want to bring that rain jacket, you're going to want to bring that umbrella. Sunday, as we head into the end of the weekend, you're going to get a little bit more AM rain is likely here as well as it was in Tampa, but throughout, as we head into the afternoon, that rain is going to move out of the way, and we're going to get some sun. So maybe your Sunday brunch, you might get some sunshine for it, but I would go ahead and bring your rain jacket and your umbrella just in case. Moving out and looking at the bigger picture, we're going to have Robert take a look at the National.
Right, thank you, Jonathan. You can see these really nice conditions that we have here in Tallahassee are kind of extending to most of the nation. You can see absolutely great temperatures across most of the Southwest, going from 63 in Los Angeles to 57 in my hometown of Dallas. A little bit cooler as you move towards the east. You can see it's going to be in the 30s for most of us across the I-95 corridor, maybe getting a little bit cooler where we have this nor'easter up here. And of course, Canada's always in the pink. It's just super cold up there. Looking at these dry conditions tonight, though, that's the major kind of weather story for most of us, of course, except for you guys in the Northeast where your weather story is the big nor'easter. But looking all the way from the West Coast, you can see Seattle, 47, just a little bit on the wetter side for us here. Going towards the east, 25 Dallas, 31 Tallahassee, all the way to below 50 in Miami. That's got to be a little bit surprising for you guys down there. Really dry conditions for us across the nation, and you can really see this on the satellite and radar. There's a little bit of rain off towards the west coast, but looking at places like Denver, St. Louis, just a few high clouds for you guys. Nothing really on the rain side. As we go towards the east, though, this story starts to change just a little bit. Seeing this northeaster over here by Toronto, New York, Washington, really dumping these snow totals as I mentioned earlier. And as we move towards the south, you can see a little bit of a transition towards rain. As the Carolinas, you can see towards the Appalachians, maybe going towards the coast over there. A few showers and storms for you guys that we're going to be watching over the night tonight. As we go towards Miami and Tallahassee, of course, dry conditions. Looking at these alerts, though, you can really see the impact of that nor'easter up here. All those watches and warnings up there. But for most of the nation, pretty dry conditions. Maybe a few fog advisories up for you guys in the Dakotas and Nebraska. And we're seeing some small craft advisories towards the Gulf Coast and Florida. So if you're thinking about boating, maybe you think a little harder about that. You can see your satellite and radar, just a little bit of showers and storms off towards as you go towards the coast, but as you go towards the interior, you can really see the snow start to increase its totals incredibly. Maybe a little bit of a mix down there by Long Island, but most of you guys in the interior are seeing very big snow totals. As we go towards the west, pretty dry conditions, high clouds, so nothing you guys really need to watch out for there. Maybe a few showers and storms as we make our way towards the southwest, though. Las Vegas, maybe going to watch there. Maybe around Prescott and Tijuana and San Diego. You guys are going to see a little bit of the shower and storm activity move its way in from the west coast. Drought monitor may be a little alleviated by these conditions, but pretty dry for most of you guys across the entire southwest going into Texas. But over here, it's going to be the opposite. Not really drought here because, of course, it's Florida, and we're watching these showers and storms make their way a little bit towards the southeast. Still going to be fairly dry conditions here, but again, very nice conditions. Tonight's forecast is going to be cool for most of the nation, and as we go into tomorrow, this forecast is going to stay mostly the same. Just, of course, going to warm a little bit with daytime heating right here, but as you guys can see, very nice highs and lows here. So now I'm going to pass things off for Chandler for another look at our local conditions.
And that's right. So let's look at the skyline behind Dope Campbell. You can see there's a bunch of clouds. We really haven't had any sun at all today. And you can see that there's a little bit of sunshine trying to peek its way out of the clouds. But for the most part, it's been cloudy. Partly cloudy, 45 degrees, and northwesterly winds, 22 miles per hour. That's the big story today. Looking at that radar, we really don't see anything going on. We can see a little bit going on in South Carolina. However, here in local Tallahassee, we're not seeing much. However, we have those strong winds coming out of the northwest, and that is producing a very incredible wind chill. It's basically you're walking outside, oh, it's going to be 40-something degrees, that's fine, nice little jacket, and then the wind starts blowing, and anything that is exposed skin-wise is just feeling really cold, your hands, your face. When we look at those dew points, like Robert mentioned, the whole entire United States is pretty much dry, and we are no exception. Finally, we're no exception. We actually are in the 30s, 31 in Tallahassee, 32 in Apalachicola, 31 in Valdosta. And looking at those temperatures, 45 degrees in Perry, 45 in Tallahassee, and 41 in Thomasville. So we're all around those 40s. However, that is pretty much very deceptive when we look at how we're really in the 30s when we talk about that wind chill. It drops us down at least 5 to 10 degrees. And looking at the next 24 hours, we can really see those clouds actually start to pull out, and we really have that sun introduce itself. So we'll warm back up over the next 24 hours. Talk about our day planner. We will be 36 degrees for the morning, and then we'll get up to the 40s and 50s by 3 p.m. Looking at the week ahead, we'll have temperatures 45 or 54 degrees on Tuesday. That's on Groundhog Day. Robert will talk more about that later on in the show. We'll also stay around the 50s on Wednesday. We'll get up to 62 on Thursday, And those temperatures, those lows will stay around the 40s until we get to Friday, whenever we'll be 53 degrees. So we'll finally get back up into those a little bit more tolerable weather conditions. However, with that rise in temperature, we'll also see a rise in rain. Friday and Saturday will both be pretty wet, or potentially pretty wet, and we'll have temperatures stay around the 60s. We'll also see temperatures finally start to decrease on Sunday and Monday. Now I'm going to hand things off to Jonathan with a look at some education.
Yeah, so one thing that happened last week that's kind of very unusual for Florida, not necessarily North Florida, but South Florida, was the tornado that happened. And so last week on Wednesday, there were 2 EF1 tornadoes that tracked directly into Leon County and the city of Tallahassee. And as evidenced by the direct messages we got, the text messages that came to my personal phone, as well as people across campus saying, I didn't know what was going on, people were essentially kind of clueless associated with this. So this is a look at the velocity radar image. As this tornado was approaching Tallahassee, you'll notice you have that red inflow curving into the storm like this, and the green is curving the opposite way. And where that hook is, that is where the tornado. And now, I don't necessarily expect all of our viewers to be able to identify where a tornado is on radar, and I also recognize that this map is not great for those who are colorblind, but this is the product we are given. And actually, we can't necessarily rely on this because if you notice, it moved directly to where this radar is and it got really hard to tell. But these are the tracks of the storms that move directly through the city of Tallahassee. You'll notice this is Capitol Circle going around the city, and it tracked right along the southern portion of Capital City all the way down past Woodville. So this tracked through some very populated areas of the city. Luckily, it was only an EF1 that is a level 2 out of the 6 on the scale, 6 levels on the scale of tornado rating damage. So it was a weaker tornado, but it did flip some planes at the airport, and there was a bit of a scary moment where we did not know where in the city the tornado necessarily was as a result of the radar data temporarily going down. But sort of as a result of that, we want to provide our viewers with a plan in case this happens again. So we want to recommend for our viewers to have multiple warning methods, whether that be on your cell phone. You can make sure you have WEA alerts turned on in the settings portion. That will automatically send you a notification anytime there is a tornado warning, an amber alert, a flash flood event. Anything you need to know about that is an emergency, it will send an alert to your phone right then. We also want to tell people where to go. I had a roommate who was in the shower as the tornado warning was issued, and we want to make sure people are in the lowest level of their home, inside and away from exterior windows and walls. Bathrooms are usually a very safe place. That's why people always go into the tub. But we want to make sure our viewers definitely have a plan and then are able to execute that plan in the event of a tornado. And for now, for a look at Florida, where there hopefully will be no more tornadoes for the rest of the week, we have Chandler.
And that's right. So let's look at those current temperatures. Currently, we are at 40s in the North Florida region. Central Florida will have some 50s and upper 40s. And then as we get down into the South Florida region, we'll have 60s as our current temperature. Looking at that radar, clouds across most of the north and central parts of Florida. No rain. Thankfully, it all cleared out. The Bahamas behind me are dealing with some rain. However, here in Florida, we are enjoying some better conditions. However, they are a little windy. Looking into the South Florida region, really nothing too crazy is going on. We have those clouds that are sweeping in, and a little bit of showers that are like trying to pop up. That's more radar clutter. Looking at our our future temperatures, we'll have 66 as the high. We'll get up into 68 and then 72 by Thursday. So we'll have that steady increase. Tampa, same story. However, we'll start a little lower in the 50s. We'll get up into the upper 50s and then the upper 60s. Pretty big jump going into Thursday. Looking at Orlando, same story. We'll get up into the 60s by Thursday. However, until then, we'll be in the 50s. Looking at that radar, really nothing. We have some clouds rolling in around Lake Wales and as we get into Tampa. So that is something to talk about. However, no rain associated with these clouds. It's just kind of trapping that cooler air down into the surface. We look at North Florida, we have some more clouds, even thicker cloud coverage, a little bit of radar clutter. That's probably not actual rain. And we look at, for those temperatures in Jacksonville, 50s for Tuesday and Wednesday, and 62 by Thursday. So we'll have that steady increase. Same story for Pensacola. We'll get up into 67 on Thursday. And looking at that radar, same story as with Jacksonville. We'll look at those tonight's forecasts, 30s for North Florida and 40s for South Florida and Central Florida region. And for that high temperature, we'll get up into the 50s and 60s for most of the area. Now I'm handing things back off to Jonathan.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and take another look at our local where the sun is really starting to begin to set over Doak Campbell, and you can notice that sunset is darkening and the lights are beginning to turn on in the stadium. And as we head overnight, temperatures are currently 45 degrees with that cloud base in effect. And as we previously mentioned, this wind gust is very high and it's creating a very blustery effect. Looking at our satellite and radar, not much necessarily going on radar-wise over us, but we do have this cloud deck, but as you can see, it's slowly starting to clear. Current temperatures, we are very blustery and cold for this time of year across this area. 45 in Tallahassee as you move northward up Highway 27 into Georgia, 41 and 42, so very cold conditions. However, the dew point is also very low. Following the national trend, this is rare for us to see this brown color on the map here. We're usually used to those brighter greens indicating a lot of moisture in the air. So watch out. You might want to carry some chapstick with you, maybe some Vaseline. Make sure your lips are not getting chapped in the cold. The big thing, and I know it says heat index behind me, but this is what we call our feels like temperature. And where that northerly wind is blowing this Arctic air down into Tallahassee, that is making the temperature feel much lower. Remember, a few slides ago, that was a 45 in Tallahassee. It feels like it's in the 30s. So make sure you're bundled up when you are outside. It is cold, and that wind is whipping. It's 22 in Tallahassee, 21 in Quincy, 12 in Donaldsonville. It's coming down from the northwest and bringing that cold air with it. Another gust at the coast, Apalachicola. This is not a great day to be out on the beach for sunset. As we head through the next 48 and 24 hours, you'll see the clouds will clear out by tomorrow, and that will allow temperatures to get a little bit warmer. As you can see, Sunday at 3 p.m. it will be sunny and temperatures will peak up into the 50s. For the rest of the day tomorrow, temperatures aren't looking as great. 36 on your morning commute, 43 for your lunch hour. Not that great temperatures. You're going to need to wear your jacket. As we head throughout the next week, you'll notice our cute little groundhog buddy here on Tuesday. Tomorrow is Groundhog Day. I personally am not calling for winter to end anytime soon. I don't know what Puxaltani will say. Robert will address that in a minute. But as we head through the rest of the week, you'll notice temperatures will warm up to a muggy 68 on Friday with showers throughout our weekend. Super Bowl Sunday, showers in the morning. It should clear out by the afternoon. Then as we head into early next week, you'll notice sun starts to come out, but those temperatures, 33 and 35, we're going to have to watch for potential frost and freeze. I know some people have been trying to say on social media that the frost on their car is snow. I don't see any snow coming for us in Tallahassee like in New York, but Robert is going to address this concept of winter ending early because of what a groundhog says.
Right, thank you, Jonathan. Of course, we have quite cool conditions here for us in Tallahassee, but you might be saying, well, tomorrow's Groundhog Day, and what if he says that it's going to be 6 more weeks of spring instead of winter? That's what I'm about to talk about to you guys right now. So if you don't know what Groundhog Day is, essentially it's if this groundhog that comes out of a little hole sees a shadow, then essentially we have 6 more weeks of winter, and it's going to be really cold conditions for the nation. But if he doesn't, we're going to see really early spring conditions here in Tallahassee and across the nation. But that may not be the case because NOAA says he's only accurate 40% of the time. And I don't really want to preempt the little groundhog here, but we're looking out to our forecast for the next few weeks here, and it looks like it's going to be fairly cold for most of the nation. Actually, in fact, in Puxtawanny, Pennsylvania, they're expecting 8 to 12 inches of snow, so it's going to be quite cool conditions for them up there. Going to have to see what the groundhog says tomorrow, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be pretty cool conditions for us. Looking at the history of Groundhog Day here, you can see that we're actually looking at a holiday that's been around for quite a while. It has its roots in Celtic traditions where they basically had a midpoint between spring and winter, and it's actually what February 2nd is. It's the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And basically it's telling whether it's going to be colder or warmer again for the next few days, or next few weeks, excuse me. But we're basically watching this holiday that's going into the next few weeks here that's going to forecast whether we have a spring or winter. Well, that's all for me here and all of us here at FSU Weather. We're following us on Twitter at FSU Weather here. We're also going to follow us on Facebook. Always make sure to keep on track of our social media. We like to post some pictures of us, and we like to post pictures of weather. Watch us live on YouTube at 6 p.m. every night. If you're not watching us live, you're missing out. Follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather. So we thank you for joining us tonight here at a great show in FSU Weather. Make sure you keep attuned to FSU Weather at all times because we will always keep you in touch of all conditions here in Tallahassee. From everyone here at the FSU Weather Studios and from me, have a great night.